things. Okay, over the weekend, Vaughn Wilson had some pretty important news at HBCUGameDay.com. Vaughn Wilson joining us now. And Vaughn, you detailed the state of affairs at Bethune-Cookman, who over the weekend went out again and lost another game. They are winless on the season. And I won't give it away because it's your article. What are some of the key factors that people maybe don't know and that you're bringing to light why things are the way they are in part at Bethune-Cookman?
As you know, in athletics, in order for a program to excel, it's not just a coach making the right calls. Things have to be in place. And unfortunately for Bethune-Cookman University, several blocks have been falling over the last few years. I would say the beginning of it was during the tenure of former president, Bethune-Cookman University president, Edison Jackson, and that is well documented. Of course, the failed dormitory deal, issues with accreditation and lawsuits that plagued the school. So the school has been trying to overcome those obstacles that were established during that time. And it gets to the point where this year, actually at the end of last year, you see the trustees come in and try to make some dramatic changes to get things back on place. The school was able to reestablish its accreditation. But as part of that process, athletics was basically stripped of all of the things that it needed to be successful, in my opinion. And, you know, it's interesting, after the article came out, some of the comments, and people say, well, that's not an excuse. The coach could still do better. Well, if you look at the situation where they took $1.3 million in scholarships from football, and Bethune-Cookman University is a private institution, $1.3 million in scholarship from football alone is a huge amount. I would say that seems like about probably 10 to 15% of the scholarships. So you're reducing your school down to the number of scholarships of the teams you're playing against. You're losing personnel, several players transferred. Football was furloughed from December to July. And we should have seen it coming as I continued to research. When we did the preview video that I did with head coach Sims, he kind of alluded to it, but he did not expose it. So we had to dig a little further, get more facts, and get more understanding of exactly what was going on at Bethune-Cookman.
That's kind of hard, Vaughn, to line up against teams that, you know, played an abbreviated spring schedule, you know, had a chance to, you know, practice even if they didn't play, and for you not to so there was no contact. Is that what we're saying? Between December and July, there was absolutely nothing happening to prepare for this season?
The coaches were furloughed without pay. Let's start there. The athletic trainer, who we know was so great at Bethune-Cookman, who built one of the best sports medicine departments in HBCU and in FCS football, for that matter, was let go. Sandra Booker, longtime, very well-respected senior woman administrator and assistant director of athletics, was let go. So the fabric that held Bethune-Cookman together for all those years was Lynn Thompson. And we wondered, and we obviously could not get it out of him when we interviewed him. We wondered why Thompson was all of a sudden resigning. Well, I think he saw this coming, his fight with the administration, with the trustees and everyone, not to strip the program this way, which he has not even admitted to this day, but it's kind of obvious if you look at the situation. He knew that teams, coaches, student athletes could not be successful under the set of parameters that they were given to exist in the 2021 season.
Wow. We have not had a chance to talk with new athletic director Reggie Theus, but it seems like he's got a lot to get together based upon where things are, and you know, sometimes it's those residual effects, Vaughn. It's like a bruise. You might bump your knee on the coffee table and you think, oh, it's okay, and then, you know, a day or two later, You feel it, and then you see it. Things kind of show up on the back end.
Well, and also, Tolly, the thing is that if people don't read the entire breadth of the article is just a chronicle of the timeline. It's not a jab at Bethune-Cookman University, which we all respect very much. 2013, as recently as 2013, they were the HBCU football national champions. So we have a lot of respect for Bethune-Cookman and the traditions of Bethune-Cookman University. But for people to continue to see the football team to fail and not have the understanding of why is this team 0-6 and 0-3 in the SWAC when they normally never started that bad. It's because you've been stripped away. You need everything to work together to have your program to flourish. Jackson State has things together. Florida A&M has things together. The teams that you see flourishing have the Alumni Association, the president, the boosters, the funding is all in place. And when you don't have that, you're going to see what we're seeing at Bethune-Cookman. That is the only point that we were trying to make with the article, is that it's so easy to point the finger at the coach, at the quarterback, at these players. Singularly, neither one of them are responsible. It's a culmination of a conglomerate of things that has caused Bethune-Cookman University to be in this position. It's not good for an HBCU. We're hoping that Bethune-Cookman can find a way out of it. But judging from the calls, and I didn't even know that many alumni had my phone number. I guess they started passing it around. Several of them didn't know. They had no idea that all of these things worked together to cause the failures that we're seeing on the football field.
You know, I was talking to a coach this weekend at the Division II level, and he was explaining to me how now is the time of the season that you can tell the teams that were able to bring their players back last fall, last spring, early in the summer, and you can tell the difference between the teams that were not able to bring their players back. Now, at the Division II level, and maybe at the Division I, but this was his specific example, teams that were afforded the CARES Act and had that financial money there from the federal money to be able to bring their kids back in, the continuity is like literally showing up in the standings and in the stats, like right now.
No, without a doubt, it's very obvious. The teams that were able to stay together and have some semblance of a spring, whether it's actually competing or having a full spring practice with all of your players and bring them back in the summer, those teams are thriving right now. And you see the results of the teams that didn't, who may have done well when they left off in 2019 and are struggling mightily out of the gate, because you just cannot. Football is not something that you can get together in 2 or 3 months. Football is year round now. You have to, and you can say, in the furlough, the strength and conditioning coaches were not able to work with the student athletes. You're talking about 18 to 22, 23-year-old kids. You're going to depend on them to do everything on their own. If that was the case, you'd never need a strength and conditioning coach. He's there to keep the consistency of the athletes doing what they need to do to prepare themselves for the season. You win in the fall, in the spring. As soon as that last game is over in the fall of one year, you begin preparing for that next season. So to come back in July and in about 60 days to try to win, which is unfortunately what Bethune-Cookman was forced to do. And Sims will not be the only one. Volleyball is struggling. I think they've won one game, Bethune-Cookman volleyball. We got to wonder what basketball, the athletic director is the basketball coach. We got to wonder what basketball, track, and all of these other sports, because as you know, football is the big dog, and you normally put your most resources behind football. So what does that mean for the track teams and the baseball teams and the softball teams of the school? We don't even know the effects of that yet.
Absolutely. I think Dr. Dennis Thomas, one of the poignant lines that he said, there's no other school that has done more with less than Bethune-Cookman. So they didn't really have a lot of room to lose anything. They were, before the pandemic, they were making it work with just a little bit. And to lose that little bit, definitely not a good thing, and maybe seeing the effects of that now. The pieces.
And Tolly, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's amazing to that vein. If we look back at our video when we were at the tailgate at the FAMU versus Jackson State at the Orange Blossom Classic, there was a Bethune fan there, and he said that exact. We have him on tape. You got to pull that tape up. He said the exact same thing. FAMU's a state-funded school. Bethune-Cookman, we're a private school, so we have to raise all of our own money. So that makes it even more difficult situation for the Wildcats. And let me say this as well. We just want to make sure that everyone understands that the article about Bethune-Cookman was complete editorial news story. Once again, HBCU Game Day loves Bethune-Cookman University, as well as I. We just wanted to bring the light, and that's our responsibility. We entertain, but we inform as well. Yeah,
we're not a PR agency is my line that I usually just throw out there to squash all of that. But Vaughn, don't worry, you're never going to make them happy. There's always going to be critics, so it's part of the game. You know that well.
Oh yeah, well, I've got so many, like I said, so many people have called. I haven't had one negative call. So many people have thought of it in a positive light of giving them information that even some of them didn't have.
Oh, well, a keyboard gangster is never going to call anybody. Hence the term keyboard. But like you said, read the article. Don't just read the headline. You lay out the timeline and the events that happen that you have sourced and backed up. So it is there for you to read at hbcugameday.com, as well as lots of other things on your favorite HBCU, so make sure you check us out. Vaughn, we appreciate you spending some time with us on a Monday. It's always good to catch up with you, man, and you are Mr. FAMU. You're getting them jealous because you're spending a little time down at Albany State. Look, people are either going to want to fight you or fight over you, Vaughn, so just take it all in stride.
Hey, I appreciate it. I love working with HBCU Game Day. I just get to do what I love, which is be involved with HBCU sports.
All right. He's Vaughn Wilson from Tallahassee. Tolly Carr in Atlanta. You are where you are. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and spending some time. We'll talk to you guys later.